Okay, so you're getting a two for one today. The first one was about my health update, and now we're going to get to the nitty gritty of the actual podcast, which I wasn't actually going to do today, but it was too good to be true. Because as I was outside doing my daily tasks, I got the news that puppy and goat killer Noam has been fired effective March 31st, to the delight of Democrats. And this is really interesting because this happened after she spent 2 days in a hearing where nobody was happy with her and she was being, you know, uh, thrown the book at and basically being humiliated. And this was a long time coming when, but this is the fault of Republicans, if you really want to get technical, because they confirmed her knowing who she was or didn't know. When you write a book and you put in your book that why you killed your puppy and why you killed your puppy when you're a farmer, that kind of to me would raise a red flag. Because when you ask that question in Congress and during the hearing in the Senate and the Congress, and you're in and you can't answer that question, that's a problem. And as I stated in yesterday's podcast, this hearing did not go well for her because when one Democrat found out that she was fired, his response was, "Well, good. Now we don't have to impeach her." And he wasn't joking either because they wanted her to resign or they would impeach her because they felt she was inept. I mean, she couldn't even explain the issue with the plane because you knew they were going to bring that up, and she couldn't even answer that question. And essentially, the question was about the plane. How do you explain it? Why do deportees need a luxurious plane when you're already taking away their rights and their dignity? What's the bedroom for? And she's saying it's going to be refurbished and fit for the purposes of deportations. Okay, that's an answer. Now, the second part of that is, what are you doing to refurbish it? Why is this plane still going to cost $70 million if you're refurbishing it? What exactly are you taking out or adding or replacing it with? But she couldn't answer any question. And now they've subpoenaed Pam Bondi because of the Epstein files, because she too is in a lot of hot water on both sides of the aisle. And this is a problem when both parties are actually agreeing on something because they very rarely agree with each other. So when they're both agreeing that something is wrong here, you know that the shit is hitting the fan. And so now they've subpoenaed Pam Bondi. The Oversight Committee has which keep in mind is being controlled by the Republicans. So now they're subpoenaing Pam Bondi to demand answers on why you're done releasing the Epstein files when you only released only half of them instead of releasing all of them. In fact, there is a rumor going around that can't be confirmed that by the order of Donald Trump, those files have been shredded, thrown out, or worse. Which, by the way, is obstruction of justice and illegal and a major cover up. Because why would Trump say, now again, if this is true, I don't know if it is, but if it's true, then why would Trump say to cover it up? Because if he knows he's in the files, and he certainly does know because Pam Bondi told him almost a year ago that he is in the files, but then he's also protecting his friends. And then you have Howard Lutnick, who agreed to testify also, which we all know is going to end up being a shit show as well. So, and I was thinking about this morning that this administration has more of their cabinet members being testifying under hearings than any other one. Under Joe Biden, you've never had that many people at a hearing unless they were trying to be confirmed for a position. Under Obama, you never did, unless something happened in Congress and the Senate were trying to get to the bottom of something and they had the hearings. But other than that, because how many times already did Christy Noem have a hearing with the Senate and Congress? What is this, like the third time? Bondi already had it. Who lied on the oath the first time around by saying the Dow was under 50,000 and got angry that Jerry Nadler was laughing. Consider the question wasn't even about the stock market. So I don't. So the point of these hearings is to exactly why they humiliate Donald Trump, they humiliate Pam Bondi, they humiliate anybody who's testifying. And this was actually a gotcha moment, So because, as pointed out yesterday in the State of the the Senate hearings, that one of the senators had asked Christy Noem, one of your agents said something about ICE that's contradicting what you said. Why and which one is true? And the fact that she refused to retract her statement about Alex Peretti and Renee Good being domestic terrorists tells you everything you need to know about who she is. Because when they asked Christy Noem point blank what makes a domestic terrorist, and she couldn't answer even that basic simple question. So how can you say your condolences to the family when you refuse to apologize for calling them domestic terrorists? How can you say condolences to my family when you are the reason you're giving them condolences anyway? And how can you give condolences to the family when you don't even mean it? Because how can you brand somebody domestic terrorist on somebody you don't even know? You had every opportunity to take the gun from Alex Peretti and see if it was registered to him, if it was purchased legally. You had every opportunity to do that because they took the gun out of his holster. And in Minnesota, you have open gun laws, so he had every right to have that gun. So if you're taking that gun, right, you had every opportunity to go and do a check on that gun to see if it legally was obtained and if it is indeed registered to him. And another question asked of her was, why are you investigating Renee Good's partner? And she couldn't answer that one either. And the other question, and I don't have an answer to that question either. And the other question that she was asked is, why is she blocking local investigators in Minneapolis to investigate? Why are you withholding the information? Why are you keeping why withholding the evidence? Why are you involved in this when it's a local when the local police are more equipped to handle it and it's one of their own? Why are you blocking them from the investigation? So she should have been fired a long time ago. She should have been resigning. But here's the question I have. Why wasn't Pete Hesketh fired during the Signal scandal? You remember that scandal about a year ago when the entire when a private conversation and situation leaked and was published in the Atlantic? Do you remember that? And Donald Trump said Pete Hesketh is doing a great job and actually tried to pin the blame on the editor of the Atlantic magazine. Do you remember that? And speaking of putting the blame on people, this is another bullshit thing that Donald Trump just said today. Like, literally said it like a couple of hours ago. Um, I know it's here. With the Iran war, we still have no idea what the reasoning is. We have no idea. First, and they keep changing their answer. Pisa says this is not about a regime change. Then they're saying, well, this is about the freeing the Iranian people. Then they're going about this is about the nuclear arms deal, the nuclear plants. And then you have people kind of saying it's not a war, it's a conflict. Okay, fine. A conflict of what? A conflict of what? And even if this is a war for the Iranian people, why are we in? Why do you have two countries involved in that? I asked somebody yesterday. I was somewhere, and I said, "What exactly was the imminent threat to America or Israel that had both of us teaming up to eradicate the threat? What was the threat? To kill the Ayatollah." I said, "But Pete Hesketh said it's not for a regime change. So then what else is it?" And he said, "Okay, well then Trump said it because of the nuclear, to get rid of the nuclear plants that they're building for the nuclear weapons." And I said, "But didn't Trump say months ago that he destroyed it?" And his experts said it was only damaged, not destroyed. So if it's not a regime change and the nuclear plants were destroyed, then how can it be? How can you have a fight for something that was already destroyed that no longer exists? And if we have to free the Iranian people, why is that our place to do it? Iran is not part of NATO, as far as I know. Our deal with NATO with Iran is a nuclear deal. There is no NATO here. So why would we be responsible for that? It's a valid question, right? And here's another one. Today, Trump says he has to be involved in picking the next Iran leader and saying Khomeini's son is unacceptable. Okay. Why does Trump? He said, just like I was involved in picking the next president in Venezuela, I must be involved. Why? Why? You are the president. Why do you care more about what's going on overseas than what's going on here at home? You put us in danger. Okay, with your war and with your illegal and unconstitutional war that's in Iran right now. You've just made oil prices go sky high. And I'm not just talking about oil for gas, I'm talking about oil for everything. Because all the oil we use, now we have gas going up to almost $4 a gallon. We have the stock market going down and down and down. And who are you going to blame for this? Because we don't know, we still don't know why we're in Iran. We have no idea. So, and here's where I was looking for. So, So Donald Trump decided today, when he gave a White House press briefing today, he tried to go with this. To justify why he's going into Iran, he claimed without evidence that Iran caused 95% of severe injuries to U.S. soldiers, which is the most bullshit excuse I have ever said. And first of all, that's not a reason to go into war with someone. Because 95% of severe injuries to U.S. soldiers would imply that we have soldiers in Iran walking around out in the open. But okay, what kind of injuries would this be? In fact, this is what he says. In his remarks about the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran at the start of a White House event to honor Lionel Messi's MLS Cup winning here into Miami, Donald Trump claimed without evidence that Iran was responsible for almost all severe injuries to U.S. soldiers. And he says, when you see somebody walking down the street without their legs, without the arms, whose faces so badly affected and hurt, it mostly came from 95% Soleimani in Iran. Really? Because there were no other wars that our troops fought in? There was no Iraqi war. There was no Gulf War. There was no, 9/11. I mean, there was no. I mean, seriously? These troops, all of a sudden, they have these injuries from Iran because they didn't fight in the other wars that we've had over the years, and they've got maybe a grenade fell on them, or a bomb, or or shrapnel. Could that be? So, really? And how do you know it came from Soleimani and Iran? How do you know that? That's not a reason to justify killing innocent people and soldiers for some delusions that you fucking made up. Trump was apparently referring to U.S. troops injured by roadside bombs in Iraqi planes by Iranian-backed Shia militants in the aftermath of the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003. Those militia groups are supported by General Qasem Soleimani, the head of Iran's Quds Force, who was assassinated by the U.S. in 2020 during Trump's first term. He goes, other presidents lived with it. I didn't live with it. Trump said, apparently citing as justification for the new U.S.-Israel war in Iran, injuries to U.S. troops that mostly took place more than 15 years ago. We had really no choice. They were going to hit us. If we didn't hit them because they're crazy. The president said, repeating his claim that the attack he ordered was justified as an act of self-defense. First off, what self-defense? Self-defense only comes if you feel threatened. There were no imminent threats. And obviously, Trump isn't taking advice from his generals, because generals would usually tell you that it's not a good idea to just go and invade a country. And no other presidents did it, idiot, because no president is as stupid as you. And nobody's going to go to a war for a stupid reason like that. And you son of a bitch, didn't actually go to war. You claim bone spurs on your fucking medical. You had a doctor commit malpractice just so you can avoid a war, you fucking piece of shit coward. And so, but you're saying to people, because these people got injured by Soleimani, no, you idiot, you fucking loser. They got injured because they were doing their job as an American soldier. They were doing their duty. And they got injured in the line of duty, like a soldier would. That is what a soldier is. They know they may come back injured or in a body bag. And they are prepared for that. So, because of something that happened 15 years ago, you're justifying that you could drag us into a war that nobody wants, nobody asked for, and that you didn't have any permission or approval to do because of 15 years ago. Fine. Then how does that explain Israel? Then how did you get Israel dragging into the war? And another thing, you piece of shit, because of you have an incompetent embassy in Israel who can't get its own people out. And didn't you say America first? Did you not say during your campaign speech, I will end all wars, I will never start a new war, and I will always put America first, and I will end wars, I am the president of peace, and I will stay out of the foreign game? Did you not say that during your campaign? Okay, well, as far as I can tell, Ukraine is still fighting, prices are going up, you started a war, two wars, two of them, might I add, and you're trying to make a bullshit to lie about why we're going into war. And then, when nobody's buying that excuse, you're blaming other people. You're blaming things that happened 15 years ago under President Bush. To do what? And then not realizing that when you go into this war, it's going to harm Americans because everything will go up. Oil will go up. Didn't you say you want to lower the prices on eggs, on milk, on agriculture? But no, we have to go into war because Soleimani gave him severe injuries in the war. No, you fucking moron. They got their injuries because they are troops who fight. You know nothing about war when you fucking lie on yours to get out of defending your country. If anybody's a traitor to this country, it is you, Donald Trump. Nobody else. It is you. You are a traitor to this country. You are not an American. You are a fucking liar. You are a fucking grifter. You are a fucking scam artist. And you really don't know the first thing about war. And so, to justify this war, you're going to gaslight the American people by saying, we are going to this war because Iran 95% severely harmed our soldiers without any proof. Without realizing that it happened 15 years ago when we had the Persian Gulf War, you motherfucking cocksucker. And excuse my language, but it has to be said. This isn't about us. This isn't about Iran. This is about Donald Trump trying to make himself feel good. This is about him feeling powerful. This is him wanting to take credit for what? This has nothing to do with America. This has nothing to do with Israel. This has nothing to do with Iran. Mark my words. Even Mag is pissed off. This has absolutely nothing to do with Iran. At the end of the day, this has to do with Donald Trump because Donald Trump is a sociopathic, egotistical, narcissistic lunatic. And he feels that he has to control everything. That's why he said he needs to be involved in the decision of Iran's new leader. This isn't about that. This is about Donald Trump trying to control the world. This is Pinky in the Brain. We're all Pinky and he's Brain. The only problem with that, the only way that ended was where Brain's plans always got foiled at the end of the day. And you know who ended up being the smart one? Pinky. And for those who don't get the reference, if anybody ever watched Animaniacs back in the 90s, you had Animaniacs and you had the Pinky the Brain, which actually Hulu brought back for a while, a couple, I think about 2 years ago. So, and Pinky was always like the stupid, ignorant person, and Brain was always the one who was smart, inventive, and tried to take over the world. And he was always foiled for it. This is like Pinky in the Brain. And Pinky always ended up winning somehow. And the same thing here. Donald Trump doesn't want to be president of the United States. He wants to be president of the world. He wants to rule the world. He wants to make the decisions for every country, even though it's forbidden against the Constitution. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about the Constitution. And I want to make it perfectly clear, he doesn't give a shit about either you or me either. He doesn't give a shit about America. He said America first. He doesn't give a shit about America first. And in fact, people were pissed off. Like when Donald Trump said that the Democrats would rather put the foreign leaders instead of putting America first. And then everybody got mad because the Republicans refused to stand when he said he was putting America first, it's not that they were fusing. They knew exactly what was happening. Donald Trump was manipulating it. He was basically saying, I don't really, that we're putting America first by any means necessary. No, what he meant is, I don't care about America. I care about my assets in the Middle East. I care about my foreign stuff. Donald Trump doesn't care about the oil. He says, we've already gotten 80 gallons of 80 billions and billions of gallons of oil from Venezuela already. That America, really? Who's gotten that oil? Who's gotten that oil? Did Exxon get that oil? Did Chevron get that oil? Did Sunoco get that oil? Who got that oil? Where is that oil? I can guarantee you, if we ask all of these companies if they've gotten 1 ounce of a barrel of oil, I can guarantee you, and I'm almost willing to bet, that they will all tell you the same thing, which is, we did not get that oil. And if you ask them, did you pay for the oil? They'll say, we paid for the oil, but we did not get any of that oil. I am going to, I'm willing to bet, in fact, I will do a search right now asking for that. Here, I'll even do it right now. Did the U.S. see any of the oil that we seized from Venezuela?
The U.S. has seized and is trying to market Venezuelan oil, with tankers being confiscated. The U.S. is selling this oil to generate funds, while also trying to control where it goes, even though some critics argue the seizures are not legal.
There you go. And the big controversy is that critics argue that Venezuela has not stolen oil, as Donald Trump claimed, and that such seizures lack legal basis under international law, as the oil belongs to the Venezuelan nation. This is all about gaining control. Taking someone's oil is in violation of international law. You cannot just, and if you want to claim they stole the oil, fine. Claim they stole the oil, but back it up with proof. What proof do you have? Because why is it that President Biden never had an issue with it? Why is it President Obama never had an issue with the oil from Venezuela? Why is it that President Bush never had or President Clinton? Why is it nobody else had an issue with Venezuelan oil? All of a sudden, Donald Trump comes and says, they stole our oil? Well, first off, okay, fine. Let's assume for a second that they stole our oil. Okay. But that's not a reason to invade a country. If they stole our oil, open up a dialogue with the country and attempt to negotiate it. That's what you call diplomacy. We are not a nation, we're not a country that invades other countries. We're not a nation, we're not a country that starts wars with other people. So if you're going to say they stole oil, and I'm going to do this right now, let's go to the BBC and let's do a fact checking here, because I guarantee you, has Venezuela stolen U.S. oil? In 1970, who then stole it through force? Okay. President Trump has said the U.S. built the oil in Venezuela, who then stole it through force. In 1976, the Venezuelan government nationalized the oil industry, effectively revoking operating concessions granted to foreign oil companies, including those from the U.S. in the 1920s and 30s. These concessions didn't mean these companies owned the oil in Venezuelan territory, but it gave them a valuable right to pump it and to sell it for a fixed period of time in return for paying royalties on sales to the Venezuelan government. Perfectly legal. Everyone gets royalties. Actors, writers, authors. This is perfectly legal. Around $1 billion compensation was agreed for the U.S. oil companies which lost their concessions in 1976, including ExxonMobil, which have since merged into one company, and Gulf Oil, now known as Chevron. In 2007, former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez exerted further state control of the remaining four. That sum has not been paid by Venezuela, so at least one U.S. oil company has outstanding compensation results with. Yet the claim the country has stolen American oil is too simplistic, as if to say the oil was never actually owned by anyone except Venezuela. So, if Venezuela owned it, how can they have stolen? How can they steal their own product. If I own my laptop, and then you tell me I stole my laptop, but how am I stealing something that's mine? You took it from me, right? Let's say you took it from me, and I'm going to get it back, and you're claiming I stole it from you. But how can you steal something that's mine? But how can I steal something that I already own? I bought it, and I have the documentation to prove that it's mine. How can I steal something I already own? I'm just taking it back. But as I just proved, Venezuelan oil wasn't stolen. They didn't steal it from us. They already owned it. They already owned it. They were leasing it out to us, and they were controlling the oil. And as I said, this isn't about the oil. This is about Donald Trump trying to get rich through manipulation, through gaslighting, through bullying. That's all this is. And those videos of Venezuelans celebrating anything in the street, of course, guess who shared them? Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, who claimed to show people on the streets of Caracas this weekend. He claimed millions of Venezuelans flooded the streets of Caracas and other major cities in celebration of the ouster. However, by reverse searching frames from the video and finding the original version, we were able to confirm that it instead shows opposition protests in Caracas, July. And that's what these conspiracy theories do. And MAGA goes along with it. So if you attempt to even tell MAGA that these videos are manipulated and they ask you to prove it, they will call you a lip turd. And what I found out today is that lip turd is an offensive slang. And they don't actually care about it. Because when I said, I'm offended by you calling me a lip tard, they said, okay, lip tard, then don't act like one. This is who Donald Trump is. Did the U.S. did Donald Trump actually sell the Venezuelan oil to American companies? See how it's so easy to do a Google search, and MAGA refuses. When you ask them for a source, they'll go to YouTube. And I did the same thing yesterday to them. Now, according to CNN, which I haven't really liked of late, I am going to retract my statement and say that they actually are selling the oil. But none of these companies are actually wanting to do business with a Latin American country for reasons I don't know. But on Wednesday, back this article from January, Reuters have reported that Venezuelan crude oil was indeed being offered at a discount to traders such as Canada. Okay, so maybe, just maybe, he is. But again, his claim today about why we're in the Iranian war is factually bullshit. And if MAGA is going to believe that, then you know what? Then all hope for humanity is lost. Because he's doing exactly what Kristi Noem did with Renee Good. Because Renee Good basically said that Jonathan Ross, the man who murdered Renee Good, had to go to the hospital and get stitches after it. And she already had come to this conclusion before there was any investigation. But she was right, but she was wrong, because as I said in the past, her story about Jonathan Ross going to the hospital and getting stitches was true, but it happened in June when he was dragged 100 feet by being stuck in a car door, and he needed stitches. And there are pictures online actually showing that. And Christy Noem said that Renee Good, he had to go to the hospital and get the stitches. So Donald Trump is basically doing a Christy Noem and taking two stories and putting it into one. Because no one is going to go to a war because 95% of American soldiers are severely damaged and was done by Iran and Soleimani. No one is going to go to war for that. No one is going to put innocent lives at stake because of that. And even if that's the case, even if that's true, how does that explain dragging Israel into the war? And by the way, who dragged who into the war? Whose idea was it? Was it Israel's idea or was it America's idea? So who, or was it done or did they attack in coordination? So who dragged who? Who had this smart idea? Because now, and now you have the American embassy in Israel telling its own citizens, sorry, we can't help you get home. So figure it out on your own. Well, fuck you, administration. That's not putting America first because it's your job to figure out a way to get your own citizens home or out of harm's way by any means necessary. It doesn't matter. If you have to use a military plane to do it, then do it. Don't tell American citizens, tough it up, fuck you, we can't get you out. You created this mess in the first place. This is your responsibility. This isn't ours. We're only stuck in Israel because of you. Because your commander in chief is trigger happy and likes war. So you want us to suffer and be stuck in and be stuck in another country because you're incompetent and you weren't prepared? That's not my problem. Get us home now. Otherwise, you putting America first is just a fucking BS gaslighting. And that's why the Democrats would not rise and applaud during that line that was said at the State of the Union, because the Democrats knew exactly who Trump was. And he knew exactly that Trump spent the entire State of the Union lying, manipulating, gaslighting. Because he's saying, we put America first, unlike the Democrats who are putting foreign interests first. Really? Did the Democrats go and invade Iran? Are they the ones who denied the war powers bill? Were they the ones who didn't pass it? No. Are they the ones who are okay with ICE murdering innocent people or deporting American citizens? No. But Trump is a loser. Trump knows he's very unpopular. Trump knows he's unpopular and unliked. Trump knows the world hates him, and so he's using anything he can to deflect. In fact, I can bet you, in fact, I can do what, in fact, I can do one better. Because MAGA says this war is about a regime change. The only problem with that scenario is that Pete Hegseth already said it's not about regime change, but it's good that he died. So, there's that. There's that. And when now I'm saying people will die because we're in a war, well, that's not very encouraging, is it? People will die because it's a war. You know, people don't have to die if you weren't so full of yourself. And the real reason for the Iran war, and here we go, it's basically This is a he said, she said. Trump said he expressed frustration with the progress of talks about Iran's nuclear program and deployed an armada to the Middle East, but said he had not said much about the reasons why the U.S. would conduct a bombing campaign. On Monday, he articulated the reasons the U.S. launched its attack on Iran, bombing over 1,000 targets in the opening days of what he has said he expects to be a weeks-long war. In his first 5 remarks on the operation, he offered 4 reasons for the campaign: annihilating Iran's navy, destroying Iran's missile capabilities, preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons, and ensuring the regime can't continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside its borders. Okay, 4 reasons. Well, first of all, the Iran thing. Didn't Trump already destroy that a couple of months ago? Didn't he say it was already that he went to Iran and bombed in the middle of the night to get rid of the nuclear program? So if they were already destroyed, how can you prevent them? How can you prevent them? How can you prevent them from doing something that you've already done months ago? You either did or you didn't. So either you were lying, or your commanders were, or your generals were lying, but not both. A senior administration official said the operation will continue until all 4 objectives are achieved. The president has said he expects the war to last 4 to 5 weeks, but administration officials say the operation could be completed sooner or later than the timeline. So here is what everyone said. President Trump said Saturday, hours before the beginning, that his objective was eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime. What those threats were, we have absolutely no clue, because there was, as far as everybody knows, there was no imminent threat to us. So what those threats were, we have absolutely no idea. Iran's menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world, in a brief address he posted on Truth Social. So why is it, first of all, why is he posting everything on Truth Social instead of holding a primetime address to the nation? Why is he posting everything on social media? That's number one. No president is using social media to explain why they're doing A, B, or C. They're going to address the American people like a normal person would. And what are them? And what are these menacing activities anyway? What are they? Iran has been a thorn in our side for years and years and years. Why does he think why does he think it's going to change? Because it's like Hydra. If you know Marvel and the Hydra enemy, you'll know that you cut off the tail of one, you cut off the head of one, another one takes its place. And that replacement may be worse than the last one. But having said that, Iran's always been a problem for Israel. But let me ask a question. How about North Korea? They actually have bombs. They've been testing them for years. They have nuclear weapons. Why aren't we attacking North Korea? Why aren't we attacking North Korea? Is it because Trump is friends with Kim Jong-un? Is he afraid of Kim Jong-un? I wouldn't be surprised if Russia has nuclear weapons too. Why don't we go into Russia? Russia's a problem. North Korea's a problem. So why are we focusing on Iran? Why are we focusing on Iran? They've always been a problem to us. So why now? So what menacing activity that was putting the troops in danger? He doesn't say. And if it's a threat to other allies, why are they not going to Iran? If it's endangering our allies, then why didn't our allies go into war with Iran? You know, Canada, United Kingdom. This is what Trump wrote on Truth Social on March 1st. A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by limiting imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder targeting the United States, our troops, innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first act was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. And that's actually true, by the way. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, and it killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew were probably involved in the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East. In recent years, as well as the U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes, from Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something that the world has never seen before. Again, also true. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the streets as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fort Dowd, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. That part I don't believe is actually true. But Iran refused, just as it is for decades and decades. They rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambition, that we can't take it anymore. That's actually not true, because we did have a nuclear deal that was signed and agreed upon by Iran. So that actually isn't true. They did have a nuclear deal. Donald Trump went and ripped it up. Instead, they intend to rebuild the nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe. Our troops stationed overseas and could soon reach the American homeland. No, it can't. Because if Iran wanted to bomb America, they already would have. If they wanted to bomb Israel with a nuclear weapon, they already would have. And Israel is a lot closer to Iran than Iran is to America. So no, they would never have bombed. Iran had many. If Iran wanted to bomb America with a nuclear weapon, they easily could have, and they would have, but they haven't, so they won't. So nobody was really worried about that. And there is no record saying that they actually were successful in building any nuclear weapon to begin with. So just imagine how emboldened this image. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security agents. We're going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. And by the way, Trump did not write this on Truth Social. His reading comprehension is zero. He did not write this at all. He probably used AutoPen. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces, and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple mission. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. They weren't challenging that at all. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration. No, you didn't. And there is almost on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. Yes, there is. It's called the IDF. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. No, you haven't. Even so, and I do not make the statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill the lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this now. We pray for every service member as a selfless risk. We have the greatest in the world that will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative face certain death. So lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity. You will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran. Everybody is the great and proud in the great cities. You ever understand? He's the only person who says the great people in the great city. I say tonight that your hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping. Like he's sounding like a 5-year-old child. Don't stay out. Don't go outside. Stay in your house. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. It's going like what 75-year-old, what 79-year-old talks like that? Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help. No, no Iranian has ever asked for America's help. And to my knowledge, they have never picked up the phone and said, "America, help!" But you never got it. No person was willing to do what I'm willing to do tonight. That's a lie, because we had the Persian Gulf War. That's a lie. Obama went to Iran. Biden went to Iran. Yes, we have dealt with this in the past. That's gaslighting. Now you have a president who's giving you what you want. Nobody wanted this war. Nobody asked for it. This is lives being lost in Iran for no reason whatsoever. Lives being lost on the American front for no reason whatsoever. America is backing you. No, we are with only now is the time to seize control of your destiny and go unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless. He didn't write this. So let me see. So this is the reason why he goes to war. But today he blames it on 95% because of Soleimani creating severe injury to soldiers. 95%. So which reason is it? Is it this entire Megillah that he just wrote on Truth Social? Or is it the or is it for the reasons I meant, or is it for the 4 other reasons? Which one is it? Is it the entire Truth Social message? Or is it the 4 reasons that Trump gave? Or is it the reason that he said today to that the Guardian wrote, which is for overthrowing for causing 95% of severe injuries to U.S. soldiers? Which one is it? Is it 4? Is it the 4? Is it one of those 4? Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Is it F? Or is it G? Because it can't be all of them. So there's conflicting reports here. So it's either further regime change, it's either about 95% of what you did to troops 15 years ago. It's either to destroy their capabilities, is to destroy their navy. So which one is it? Donald Trump tells so many lies that he doesn't even know which lies he already said. That he keeps changing his story, because that's what liars do. When you don't believe their story, they come up with something else entirely. But the one that he just told today about the 95% that he's declaring that he's justifying the war because of what Suleiman did to 95% of soldiers 15 years ago without any evidence, that's just idiotic, stupid. And he's talking like a 5-year-old. Bombs will explode. Bombs will be dropped. Things will explode. Stay in your home. Stay safe. I'm 46. I don't even talk like that. What moron is talking like they're in preschool? So Peter Skinner is saying one thing. Donald Trump is saying 15 other things. Congress is saying another thing. So which story is the real story? And the reason why Israel and the alliance went together, they coordinated a mass military campaign. Now, I will say that Israel and the United States are best friends, thankfully. And you would never expect this from Israel. Israel doesn't usually tag up with other countries because they have the IDF is one of the most highly trained armies in the world, so much so that every other country trains with them, including ours. And in fact, a lot of the pilots that fly El Al planes are former Air Force members of the IDF. So you're in good hands when you're flying out. But on February 28th, they both initiated a coordinated mass military campaign targeting nuclear facilities, military infrastructure, and leadership to eliminate what they termed imminent threats. What those threats are, we still don't know. The coalition aims to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, destroy its missile industry, and curb its regional influence. Eliminating immediate threats, officials cited the need to preemptively destroy Iranian missiles and drone capabilities that they claimed could reach the U.S. and devastate regional allies. Failure of diplomacy. The attacks followed collapsed negotiations with U.S. officials claiming Iran used talks as a delay tactic while refusing to relinquish materials. Existential threat to Israel. Well, Israel has always been a threat to Iran, and Iran's always threatened Israel, but Israel has never acted upon it unless they were provoked to do so. So this is new to them. Israel considers Iran an existential threat due to its leadership's calls for elimination of Israel, viewing the 2026 conflict as necessary for national survival. Okay, that might be true, but the campaign, including the killing of top officials like the Iranian Supreme Leader, aimed to cripple the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and force a change. The action followed Iran's violent crackdown on domestic protests in January. The conflict is seen as a continuation of tensions following a previous 12-day war in June 2025. Okay, fine. Then, if Iran's an immediate threat to other countries, then why are the other countries not joining in with Iran and Israel?
Other countries are joining Iran in Israel's conflict, mainly to avoid becoming targets of Iranian retaliation. Iran has warned that supporting the U.S. and Israel would be seen as an act of war. European nations are struggling to unite due to divided opinions and the risk of appearing as accomplices.
It's the perfect storm. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. But these leaders of these other countries are smart enough to stay out and mind their own business, which is why the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, told Trump no when he said, "Can we use your base for Iran?" And Keir Starmer said no, because we don't want to be dragged into this war. We do not. So they are smart. Trump is not. But I will end here and say my thoughts and prayers do go out to the Iranians that do live in America. And by the way, not every Iranian is evil. Not every Iranian. There are a lot of good Iranian people out there. Salman Rushdie is one of them. There are a lot of good Iranians out there. It's unfortunate that they have all been lumped together in one group as a stereotype. It's unfortunate. But it's the same thing. Not every terrorist is a Muslim, but not every terrorist. I don't remember the saying, but not every Muslim is a bad Muslim. Not every Iranian is a bad Iranian. Oh, does that make every Muslim bad? No. If Iran is a bad country, does that make every Iranian a bad person? No, it doesn't. If you're an anti-Semite, does that make every Jew bad? No. Are there bad Jews? Yes. Can I, as a Jewish person, can I say that Jews are not perfect? Yes. And there are some Jews that do go to jail for fraud too. Am I a perfect Jew? No, I'm not. But I'm secure enough to admit that I'm not. My thoughts and prayers go out to my Iranian friends that are here at home, to the troops that are fighting. I do hope you're safe, and I hope that November comes soon enough that we can get rid of this very, very corrupt administration. And I apologize for the cursing, but I don't regret what I said. I don't take it back. Every word of it is true. And if that offended you by me cursing him out, you know what? I'm sorry that you can't hear the truth. I'm sorry that hearing the truth of facts, hurts you. But someone has to say it. Anyway, that's the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening. And as always, leave a comment if you have anything to add. Thank you.